Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically Giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as polizieschi, spaghetti westerns, Euro crime films. Either way, you will hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 448, Double Double 72. I'm your host, GregaMortis, along with Ian Pugnelli. Irza. What's up, Ian?
There's a lot of blood around because they cut off the guy's dong. I mean, his penis, his male organ, his member, including balls, testicles.
Dude, it was so brutal too. God. Welcome to
Both
the
of
show.
these
Oh
movies
yeah.
had brutal moments. Like I was really like in The Killer Is Still Among Us. I was really surprised
Hmm.
by one particular scene where I was like, man, they actually went there. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny, man. Like the episode we're reviewing tonight, the movies we're reviewing is 1986, The Killer's Still Among Us, as well as 1989's Arabella Black Angel. And that is part of this Forgotten Gialli Volume 4 box set that Ian and I both have. And this thing is amazingly beautiful. And Ian, I don't know if you saw my latest Blu-ray DVD update, but
No, I did not.
Pearl picked me up
Not
volume
yet.
three. So now I have volume three in the box set instead of the single. So now I have an extra copy of the volume
Oh,
three.
nice. Oh, cool.
So that's
Oh,
super
yeah.
cool.
You could always sell that other one if you wanted to.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
I wish Vinegar Syndrome would do like a give back, maybe a swap off. But that is what we're reviewing tonight. And the scene that Ian was quoting, man, was such a brutal scene in The Killer Is Still Among Us, man. No, yeah, that was in The Killer Is Still Among Us.
No, that was in
Oh,
Arabella.
that's right, Arabella.
Yeah.
Eh,
It's when I think his name is something like Barton in the English version or something like that. Or yeah, it's something like that. Anyway, he shows up. He's eating this hamburger that has way too much ketchup on it, and yeah, and then he's talking to the female inspector who's like the other big character in the movie. I'm trying to remember her name right now,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was pretty funny.
The
Um,
that movie has so many moments with the one spot that you're talking about, man, that
Gina
guy,
Fowler, that's who I was thinking
yeah,
of.
it almost looked like a jelly donut, but it was supposedly like a ketchup burger thing. It was really wild looking,
Yeah.
but boy, we're gonna really have two movies to talk about tonight for sure. Two totally, I won't say totally, but definitely two different feels of films. And will they stack up as a Giallo? Will they not stack up as a Giallo? We'll definitely let you know on that. And we're super excited. So this is it, 1986. We're going to do this chronologically as I typically like to keep it. So the first movie that we'll review tonight is 1986. Is The Killer Is Still Among Us, which is in that volume 4 set, like we mentioned, from Vinegar Syndrome. If you don't own it, get that set and check it out. It's also, we got one more that we'll talk about on another future episode. But anyways, so like I always like to do, we're going to send it right over to Ian. And Ian, what you got for a plot synopsis for this Killer Is Still Among Us?
All right, so let me see if I can put the book up here.
Oh
So
yeah,
this is Troy Howarth's So Deadly, So Perverse, Volume 2.
yeah, yeah.
And
Which is a good one. That's the one I own. I do not own. You've got the first one too, but I only have
yeah,
the second one as well. It's a really good box or book.
so Christiana is a graduate student majoring in criminology, which I thought was a very interesting part of the movie, by the way.
Same.
As part of her thesis, she is following the police investigation into a series of murders. The assassin, dubbed the couple's killer because of his MO of targeting young lovers, sorry,
Mhm.
while they are at their most vulnerable, has left no clues behind thus far. Christiana begins working up a profile and soon finds herself in danger as well.
Boom, boom. First time viewing for you, Ian.
Yes.
Yep. So both of the actually I'd seen Arabella. I take that back. I had seen Arabella, the Black
Oh,
Angel.
interesting. Yeah, it had never even come my way, really.
That was one that I just was. It was on some streaming channel. I was on Shutter,
That's
something,
right. Yeah, because these used to be on Shutter, a ton of these. Yeah.
Exactly. And I watched it one night. So I remembered it when I put it back in. I was like, okay, I do remember this one. But The Killer is Still Among Us was definitely a first time viewing. And when I watched the movie, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, this is different. It's different. We don't have like a bladed killer. We got a killer using a gun. So there's a lot of shootings in this. They're brutal shootings. Not a ton of them, but there are some in this one. But it wasn't until I watched the commentary and the commentary, listening to that commentary that you were mentioning, Ian, off air, who's
Rachel Nisbet.
Rachel Nisbet, which I thought she'd done a phenomenal job. Listening to her talk about this movie actually helped it for me because I didn't realize this was based off a true story. I
Yeah.
just went into this thinking this is a movie, but then after I found out, okay, this is based off of the Monsters of Florence, which was a serial killer that took place from the late 1968 ish up into the mid 80s, was never caught, much like a Jack Ripper type situation. And he did a lot of these murders are kind of almost what happened, Ian, which I think is horrific, dude. I mean, that made this movie. I had to step back and think about it a minute and say, wow, after watching it the second time and listening to her talk through it, I'm like, wow, okay, this is actually going to go up a little bit in my rating because of what I found out about the movie. So that's what I hope we can do for you, the viewers, man, as well. But what do you think of this? When we open up with that cold opening with the murder, and it felt a lot like The Town that Dreaded Sundown. It legit felt like I was watching that movie. We have two people making out like in Lover's Lane type situation. They take her clothes off, and then we have a killer come in with a gun, blasting them, and wow! And then what he does with the girl was pretty brutal. So, what did you think of that cold opening on it?
I thought it was interesting. I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen a cold opening quite like that in one of these films. So I thought that aspect to it was interesting. And when he pulls out the gun, that surprised me, of course, without knowing anything about what it was based off of. When I did research on it, it didn't even take me the commentary to do that, just because I was so interested in it before that I figured it out. Basically, just based on Wikipedia articles and everything. Oh, it's based on the Monster of Florence. Well, that at least makes a little bit more sense. Um, and some of the things that the killer did are in this movie. But yet, just that opening sequence I thought was unique and very impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one was co-written by our great friend there, Ernesto Gastaldi, who has given us so many great films. Now this one I found out through the commentary, Ian, that they kind of rushed it because they were trying to get it out before another movie came out, which was actually banned because of some of the footage that they were filming was basically, from what Rachel had said, was exactly what had happened in the movie. So some of the families were obviously, offended by it and upset
I
about it.
think both movies were banned in Florence as well. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. Understandably, I mean, this was something raw that was being filmed, but I know that the director, which is Camillo Teddy, the director of this movie that we're talking about, I forgot to mention that, but Camillo Teddy wanted to get this movie out before the other one came out, so he could be first, and that thing. So I know it was a rush job. And I feel like it was a budgetary thing too, Ian. I think there was definitely feeling like some budgetary restraints in this one. But the kills in it when they do happen are brutal. Like I'm talking,
Yeah.
I won't necessarily put it up there with the New York Ripper or Maniac, but I would almost put it up there with those, man. Some of those,
Yeah, I mean, one aftermath to a kill, I would say, rivals some of the things you see in those movies. The kills themselves aren't especially brutal. It's more of what the killer does afterwards.
yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
first kill where he takes the knife and he basically the Monsters of Florence, from what I'm reading and hearing from Rachel, was the serial killer, and he would sexually or do sexual things toward the female after the murder. I'm hoping it was after the murder. The first one, he uses a branch, like a tree branch type twig, and yeah, and you know where that goes. But he took a knife and he's like playing around the breast, and then goes down lower, and then we see him take this thing, and it was brutal. I mean, that's brutal, and that's actually what had happened in real life, which I thought was horrific. Ian, after I heard that, I'm like, holy crap, dude, nobody should ever suffer a murder like that, and especially going as weird as that. But that's what this killer was doing. So in this movie, it's a cat and mouse type situation. We got some red herrings that's popping up. We don't know who the killer is. There's even a mention. We have the one character, Ian, that is the she. When I say she, is Christina Morello, who's played by Mariangela Diabraco. Her soon to be boyfriend, and they really moved really quick, Ian. Like it was, she meets him at the morgue, and then they're instantly, oh, you got to come meet my parents first before you can come up.
Yeah, and then my parents are out in Rome or something like that when they go into the
Yeah,
bedroom. Yeah,
yeah,
this is my
that's right.
first time with a doctor. Yeah, I thought that whole exchange was pretty fun, but
Yeah.
it like this movie it like lays it on so thick that this person could possibly be the killer, her boyfriend Alex,
Hmm.
that it's like one of those things where you know that this guy is not the killer. Like it's
Right.
you're 100% sure because they're like making it, they're like implicating him so much to the point where it's like there's no way, you know.
Yeah.
And with the way the movie ends, like I won't say how, but it's like okay, you pulled a fast one on us basically. But
Did you like
but
that ending, by the way?
yes, I actually kind of did
I did too.
because, well, it surprised me because none of these movies ever end that way,
Right.
right?
No.
I think one of the things about Italian film censorship, I think, and I've heard this from multiple people, is that basically you have to have the killer be punished in order for the film not to be censored. I had heard that. I've heard that multiple times. Now, maybe because this was based on something true, they decided to end it differently just because of that. I'm not sure. That's probably why.
Hmm.
But it was one of those things where I was surprised by it because normally that's just how these films go for the censorship purposes. And boy, could this one have been censored in certain spots.
Absolutely.
And probably even was in certain ways, in certain like screenings or whatever, certain releases. I'm sure that there's a scene towards the end that probably was censored, but they're laying it on thick that this guy could be the killer to the point where it's like there's no way. Like that part when she goes to the hospital and says, oh, where's Alex, and the guy says, oh, his car battery died, so he took an ambulance home or something like that. Meanwhile, 5 minutes before, she had just been almost ran over by someone in an ambulance. I mean, come
In and
on, you're
ambulance.
like that's too you're
Yeah.
you're making it way too obvious at that point. And then the whole thing with him basically telling her, take a shot every time he says, please change your dissertation or stop pursuing this whole thing entirely. Like if you take a shot every time you do that, you'll end up,
In a
bon
coma.
scotting yourself,
Yeah.
like yeah, dying by alcohol poisoning.
True.
um
True.
so there is that aspect to it, but I like how ambitious the main character is, Christiana is. I think that her ambition as this criminology student is actually a pretty interesting aspect of the film, because she's pursuing this killer and she's ambitious. Like she goes to one crime scene and she's asking, oh, was it my killer? And there's the part when she goes to the forensics guy who tells her, oh, the bullet was the same from the one used in like 1974 or something like that, because
Yeah.
every bullet leaves a certain
Like a
mark or whatever
fingerprint.
from the,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a fingerprint. No two are the same. So I thought that aspect was interesting. Just to get to Troy, I thought his remark in his opening paragraph was pretty funny because he was not a fan of this film. He said, "It is difficult to believe that Ernesto Gastaldi had a hand in the writing of this rather inept thriller. The plot is strictly by the numbers, and the production values indicate that the film was thrown together with indecent haste." um, Interestingly enough, I have some notes from the commentary.
Okay.
Put them all in bold, so this should be pretty easy. Teddy was a production manager for A Fistful of Dynamite, aka Duck You Sucker, and Bird with the Crystal Plumage. So he's kind of one of those guys who worked his way up. Giuliano Carnameo, who directed Case of the Bloody Iris and several of Sartana films, was originally slated to direct this. Gastaldi didn't like this movie much. He called Teddy a lax director, which conflicted with what he thought about his father, because his father was a much more strict and sort of uptight person. Special effects person, worked on Contraband and Zombie for Lucio Fulci, which makes sense when you see some of the practical effects in this.
Yeah.
Censorship committee wanted the mutilation scenes cut. those were the notes that I had that were, I'd say, the most important.
Yeah, the biggest thing I took was where you were talking about with the production of this movie and hearing about the life story of the murder, the serial killer that has never been caught. Um, to live in that time and that era, and we see that toward the end of this movie, that one of the kills takes place in a tent, which I thought was a really horrific kill there as well, where one of the guy, the guy actually tries to get away, and then he doesn't. He meets his demise. But uh, Rachel had mentioned that as years had gone by, the serial killer was leaning more towards tourists, French tourists, and different ones as well. So that was interesting. But it definitely helped the movie. You were mentioning about the ambulance too, where the doctor was like under constant just barrage in our brain that he's the killer. There was even that moment at the beginning of the movie where the ambulance is stalking her, like just driving slow, and she even keeps looking at it, and it's just like one thing after another. I'm 100% with you, Ian. That was like just trying to throw it in your face. But then they did give you those other characters, the professor guy. You had the wiry hair guy from the bar. You had all these weird characters popping up that you still were like, okay, maybe I can see this. And then that what happens to the bartender was freaking awesome scene as well. Just lots of good scenes in this one. I just felt like the script, the story was a little off for me, a little wonky. But when the murders were taking place, I'm like, this is actually really good, man. The effects are really good. The music was by Dedo Mariano, and honestly, the music didn't play a part in this movie at all for me.
I like the theme. The theme was somewhat memorable with the chimes and like the string in it. I thought that the theme was somewhat memorable. Apart from that, not much that was memorable, but the theme itself I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I was
Um,
waiting for like
yeah,
those musical keys or those musical notes throughout, and I just never, I can't tell you that anything was in here like that. So for that, I got to give that kind of a wonk wonk. But I didn't dislike the characters. I liked the characters. Like I thought they were good. We even had the friend of Christiana or yeah, Christiana that pops up in the movie. I liked her. I liked some of the characters that they had at the bar. They were sleazy as hell. Especially when she walks in, they're just walking right up trying to touch her and grab her. I'm like, what the hell is this? So some of those characters, and Barry was that one character you were talking about, Fabio
with the
Cafaro.
weird hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's this weird hair, and but there's some good moments in this movie for sure, man. But did you watch? Was there an English dub? I don't even remember if there was an English dub on this one.
no, not for this one.
It was on the other one, right? Yeah, I ended up
Yeah,
watching it.
there was for Arabella, but not for this one.
Okay. So some of the characters here we had, let's see, Shiara, who was played by Yvonne Diabraco, and I do like once again Dr. Alex, played by Giovanni Vicente or Vicentin. I thought he was good for what he had to do. It was that character of like, will you just leave it alone? Quit looking at it. This no murder. Stop looking at it. And I'm like, dude, what the fudge? Mariangela DeBacco, I thought she was good, man. I really enjoyed her, man. I thought as an actress she was good, and she didn't mind getting a little naked in the movie, so you get that for that situation, which I thought was a little, I don't know. But there is a lot of nudity in this one, Ian, because of the murders. They had a lot of the necking. What did you think of the sidebar thing where they showed the motorcycle girl that showed up, and then she goes with her, and I guess they were doing this little side thing where some of these people were going out to Lovers Lane and like videoing them and recording things.
I
What do you
didn't
think?
really think it played much of a part in what was going on. That I remember thinking, I was like, why is this society even here?
Right. I was like, why are we doing like did we just need to have a motorcycle in the movie? Did we need to have another character that could possibly be part of the murders? Although in real life they said that did take place, and that did help with one case where they did see something and they went to but then that was discredited and all that. But anyways, I don't know. I just thought it was weird too. I wanted it made no sense because it was so quick. It's like, okay, I'm gonna follow this girl on a motorcycle out to wherever, God knows where. There's a guy in the woods or has a tape recorder, and they're recording a couple making out. They're putting cameras and stuff, and looking inside. And then she drives her back home and says, "Don't ever contact me again." And then there's nothing else about it. Rest of the movie, you don't hear nothing else about it. I don't know. It's just weird. I could have done without that part. Do we have anybody in this movie, Ian, that would be an all-star for us?
Yes, actually, hold on a sec. I gotta go back to something for that. Give me 1 second,
Mhm.
just because I need names and I need movies. So Riccardo Parisi Parati, who played the professor,
Yes.
he was in The Psychic and Murder Rock, so he is a superstar
Nice.
actually for us.
Nice.
And then Giovanni Vicentin, who plays Alex, was in The Card Player, and I remember him in that actually. He played the police chief in The Card Player, so he's an all star because of that.
Okay. He's actually going to be in, I think I looked him up earlier, and I think he's going to be in something else we're going to end up doing too. There was another movie that I think we're going to be doing, or maybe I looked up somebody different. Anyways, so is that all the ones that you had on that one?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
apparently also in Man on Fire. I don't know how big his role is in that. In I'm talking about the original Man on Fire from the '80s with Scott Glenn, so that's
Nice.
kind of interesting. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else that was Mariangela Diabricio. She only had like 12 credits. She was actually in a Sergio Martino sex comedy called Creamhorn with Edwidge Fennick. So that is
Hey,
interesting.
hey, we got to watch that one.
Yeah.
It's got our girl
Well,
Pearl.
if they ever get if they, those sex comedy films ever get a big release from somebody, someone is going to take a chance on those eventually. Someone like Cauldron
Yeah,
or Severin is going to put out a big box set of those sex comedy films eventually, and
I
I
feel like
hope
I've
that they
seen.
don't flop. But yeah,
Yeah,
I hope that some people buy them because I think that that's the biggest fear for most of these companies is they don't want to release them because they know that there probably isn't a whole lot of interest out there besides people like you and me who just want to see more films with our favorite directors and our favorite
yeah,
stars.
yeah. Who is it? Was it
Yep.
Severin that just did the erotica one, or is that Vinegar? One of the two. I can't even remember now. I'm
It
throwing.
was Severin, right? You're talking about the Emmanuel one?
Yeah. So Severin just put
Yeah.
that one out, and so I could see them definitely being one that would do, those type films for sure, and especially with Edward Finch in it as well. I don't know if you saw too today, and just a little side note, but they just released a new box set. They got a pre-order out for the Exorcismo, their newest one. Have you seen that yet?
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah, so that's going to be from the Franco era, post Franco era. So yeah, so go over there to Severn and order your box set if you got
There was a
150.
picture of Simone Andrea, who we know from some of our Giallo films, who was he must be in at least one of those films, because there was a picture of him that they were putting up for one of them.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
has me interested a little bit.
definitely 10 films. Check it out, Severn Films. Back to this one though, I gotta say, man, what else you got on this movie as far as plot or kills or whatever you want to talk about on this one?
Not a whole lot. I think I brought up some of the stuff I wanted to say. Yeah, I'm trying to think of too much else. I mean, I thought some of the location shooting was pretty cool.
Hmm.
I like the that scene where they go down that staircase. There's that really cool looking staircase in one scene where the professor and Christiana are talking. There's that good suspense scene with Christiana in her house where the lights go out or whatever, and you just see that blinking red strobe light or whatever. That I thought was a pretty cool and effective scene.
That was also the
uh,
eye scene through the
Yes.
peephole. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, great.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Yeah.
Um, and the scene where I was just thinking of this too, the scene where she goes back to the bar to meet the bartender or whatever, and the blood drips on her from above, that was another good sequence.
And she had her mouth open like blood, and she just kept it.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro,
yeah. My dad
drip.
and I
I'm
were
closing
talking
the
about
mouth.
that.
I'm not.
She's
Yeah,
like, why? Like my dad was telling me about that. She's like, he's like, okay, I can understand if you're petrified or whatever of what you're seeing, but it's like you'd think you would have the wherewithal or whatever to like not let blood drip into your
yeah.
mouth.
Like close your
Yeah,
mouth. Like she's got her mouth open and like blood is just dripping all. And she's like, ah. I'm like, dude, move. You can still see, bro. That was nasty, man. I was looking on here, Ian. The Killer Still Among Us was deemed according to Wikipedia, incredibly boring in a retrospective Italian review, stating that while the film did have a few disturbing scenes, there was not enough to save it from the banal dialogue and bad characters that made it a one trip to Dolesville. That was on Wikipedia. I won't quite go as far.
Well written, but I don't know if I agree with that.
Right, right. I think once again, Ed, I got to tell you, man, listening to the commentary was that's one of the times that the commentary helped this movie for me 100%. Like
Yeah, I can certainly agree.
it definitely bumped it up listening. So I got to give major props to you said Rachel Nibbits or
Nisbet. Yep.
Nisbet. Got to give a major shout out to her for her amazing. It was really good, really interesting, and I easy listen. She gave out a lot of information about the director and the filming and the murders of Florence and just all the things going on. She was very well versed, and for a movie that's not what I would call great, for her to take that much interest in it is speaks volumes for sure. Um, so I guess Ian, if you're ready, let's pass our ratings around on this one. Uh,
Okay. I'm going to give it a 6.
okay, you're a six.
Yep.
And I gave it 2.5 stars. So I'm gonna go 5.5 because I was a four. I was like a four on this one. And I bumped it up after watching the commentary. I said, I can't be a four on this one, man. This is based on true story now. And some of the kills were absolutely. Now I'm gonna tell you, the effects in this and the murders were really good, the shoot sequences. So I gotta give it props for that, man. It's a 5.5. And it's in the set. You get it. You get this cool little Blu-ray. And what did you think of that artwork? It's just kind of generic to me.
I mean, I kind of like the knife reflection there that they got. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not a bad.
not bad. But there you go. That is our first review, and now we'll get to our final one. We're going to get to the sleazy side of this Giallo set for sure. Well, I won't say it's the only one because we still got another movie to review out of this set, but we're going to get to Arabella Black Angel from 1989, and Ian will head over to you for the plot.
Okay, so same thing as the previous synopsis taken from Troy Howard's So Deadly, So Perverse, Volume 2. And so it says Arabella is married to successful novelist Francesco, who has been wheelchair bound as a result of a traffic accident. Francesco's lack of that's funny. It's not really a traffic accident.
No.
Francesco's lack of attention prompts Arabella to enact kinky sexual fantasies with random strangers. When these people start turning up dead, their bodies horribly mutilated in a sexual manner, Inspector Fowler is assigned to investigate.
This movie, from the first 2 minutes of this movie, what you're getting into.
Yeah,
Oh my God, this is like a lot of S&M, weird underground sexual fantasy type
yeah,
film.
it's like a sex dungeon is where it starts at.
Yes. And Pearl and I were watching this movie, and I don't know how she felt about it. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good for what it was. But I'm watching this movie like, all right, is this going to be a Giallo or is this going to be
This is like on the level a level of Slaughter Hotel with its like
yeah, good
sort
point.
of hardcore inserts that are in between everything else that's going on.
Eight. You give it eight? Oh, Pearl's giving this thing an eight. She's already showing her cards. She says this
Oh
movie's
wow,
eight. So what we have is Arabella played by Tina Cancino, and I really liked her in this character. She's basically playing
yeah,
characters, even though she's not, but she's role playing, right? So she's playing Arabella, which is the Dark Angel, but then she also has her regular character name, which was or her real name in the movie, not her character name, I should say, Ian. Not her real life name, but her character in the movie. She's playing Deborah, but when she goes out for the street type side things, she's Arabella. And I really thought she was a very attractive lady, and I enjoyed her scenes when she goes to both sides. Like she plays the innocent, and then she plays the slutty side of things. I dug it, man. I really dug it. I don't know this Nick character, and I don't see his name pop up on the credits. I was trying to find who Nick was. Nick was the guy that had the Nikon camera and was following her around, taking pictures and photos, trying to blackmail her at the beginning of the movie.
yeah.
And I don't see him on the IMDb credit, and I don't see him on Wikipedia. So I really don't know who he was. But anyways, so we have her going to this warehouse dungeon sex romp place where all it looks like all things are put out on the shelf. You whatever you want to do, your fantasies are okay. You just got to give the weird dude at the front some coin or something, give him something. And then you can go in. So we have her entering into this sexual dungeon thing. And there's a lot of role playing going on, a lot of sexual things going on. And then we see her, having some stuff take off with her. And this Nick guy's following her, taking photos, and then the police show up out of nowhere. There's a bust, right? There's a raid, and everybody takes off. She ends up getting captured by the detective Rosa, or the officer Rosa, and he ends up freaking raping her, of all things, Ian, which I thought was horrible. But he took her, as they said, a prostitute. I guess you could kind of say maybe you would have thought that where she was at.
That still doesn't make it
It doesn't
acceptable.
make it right, dude. I'm sitting here like, why does that make it right, dude? You're an officer of the law. How does it make it right that she's a prostitute? Okay, I can go ahead and rape her while she's no, bro. It was 100% wrong.
Right.
Never right. And that scene was really hard too, because he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you," right? So he does his thing, and then she goes back home to her husband, who is in the wheelchair, which I really like Francesco, man. I thought Francesco Caselli, I liked his character. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that and where it goes in the movie. The reveal that happens in this movie, which I
There
didn't think
were
100% surprised, but
there were a couple of twists that actually there were a couple of twists that I think they may have played their hand a bit too early with one of them. The first one, then there's another twist involving another character and like who they are in relation to someone else that I thought was pretty interesting and unexpected. Whereas who the killer is, I could see coming pretty
yeah,
far away.
yeah, yeah. That was not a shocker. That to me was the easiest thing to pick up on this movie. But overall, man, I thought the movie was fun. This one was written by R. Filippucci. Um, it's fun. It's fun. We had the scene too where Arabella, where she was raped, and she took off. When she left, she left her purse, and the officer still has it. So he brings it to her home and starts like saying, blackmailing her again, and like, I can go talk to your husband right now.
I want a repeat of last night, basically, I
Right.
think is what he says. And yeah, he goes for it. We'll say that much.
Yeah.
That turns into a pretty hardcore scene as well. Um, yeah, like there are a number of there are a number of like sex scenes in this, some of them which make me laugh, like the cowboy guy that she picks up at the bar. Then you've got the one guy later on who's like, I'm only going to do this with my boxing glove on or something like that.
Yes, that's the basically, instead of how you see
She
the
picks up
street
she
walkers, they're female. This one, all the street walkers were males, and she goes, "It was
yeah, I found it funny where I listened to a podcast about the movie earlier today. I can't remember what it was. I should give them a plug if I can find it. But they were like, okay, so at this part she dials 1-800 male prostitute and gets a male prostitute with a boxing glove.
yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny
that
when
was
I heard that. It's some I think it was like Spooky or something was the name of the podcast, but it was pretty entertaining. Yeah,
Did she
anyway,
have
this
to do that though? I mean, not stereotyping, but she's a very attractive lady. I don't think she'd have had a hard time trying to find somebody. I don't know why
well,
she'd go
yeah,
to a
that's true,
prostitute
but she's also doing this for Francesco, right? His bidding, like he wants her to do this to
because he's
help him
right.
write his
Yeah,
yeah, help him write his stories, which ends up playing a part into something else that happens as well. Which is, interesting. You've got Inspector Fowler, who's like had this childhood trauma
Mhm.
involving scissors, which is the killer's modus operandi is using scissors. So it kind of ties in. She's like a very, like I noted it the first time I saw her. I'm like, this is a very attractive inspector. I found that kind of, interesting. You don't usually see that in too many of these films where the attractive woman is like an inspector, like this really,
yeah. The
credible
Lynch
policewoman.
was
And her
Valentina.
her girlfriend, what an awful person she was. She
Horrible.
reveals all this childhood trauma to her, and then she goes and puts it in a newspaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
Horrible.
she doing?
I know. Horrible, man. What a Gina Fowler, Valentina Visconti. What a good character, man. I like that character too.
And then we had our girl Ida Gali showing up
Yeah.
as the mother of Francesco.
Yes, and
Yeah,
she's going to be she's well over an all-star for us.
yes,
She's
she
all
is. She is an all-time great on this show for sure.
absolutely, dude. I
Yeah.
loved her character. She was really smooth in this movie, man. I really enjoyed where she took her character for sure. And
And then I wanted to point out who the director was. So Stelvio Massi is one of the kings of the Eurocrime genre, actually. He in 1974 he started directing Eurocrime movies, and he had directed a couple of Sartana films as well. Sartana's Here, Trade Your Pistol for a Coffin, Have a Good Funeral, My Friend Sartana Will Pay. Or maybe he was just no, he was a cinematographer for those films. My mistake. But then in 1974 he makes Emergency Squad, which is a Eurocrime movie with Tomas Milian. And here's some of the Eurocrime movies he rips off after that: Mark of the Cop, Mark Shoots First, Cross Shot, Mark Strikes Again, The Last Round, Destruction Force, Highway Racer, Fearless, The Iron Commissioner, Convoy Busters, which we covered on this show at one point, Hunted City, and The Rebel. And those are from 1974 to 1980. So he was just ripping off Eurocrime film after Eurocrime film in that era.
nice. I like him as a director. I can tell you that. I did like his direction in this movie. Uh,
Yeah. Troy had a note too. He was not the biggest fan of this one either. This is his opening paragraph. Stelvio Massi's first crack at the Giallo, Five Women for the Killer from 1974, was by no means a classic of its kind. However, it certainly looks like one compared to the director's ill-advised attempt at an erotic Giallo.
maybe he was going, yeah, because maybe this was his version of like a Brian De Palma sleazy body double type thing. This would like just, but listen, the concept is there. You got a writer who's having a writer's block, and you got a wife that goes out and acts out his fantasy so he can write. It's hey, and he's paralyzed in a wheelchair. We got that scenario, and the scene where she is in with the officer in that back room or in that side room, and he's doing his thing with her, and he comes rolling up in the wheelchair to hear and all that stuff. I was expecting it to hit the fan, and he's like, "No, it's okay. It's." Well, I was like, "Wait, what, dude? Did you just see what?" And you did. You just saw what was happening. I think she was enjoying it a lot more than she should have. So I don't know. I mean, she was doing it all for her husband, I guess. Good girl, good girl. Not. I don't think I want my
Not,
wife doing
yeah.
that. I don't know. I'm sorry, babe. I don't need. If I have a writer's block, I'm not going to say, "Hey, go be Arabella." All right, sorry, love. You can be Arabella here at the house. But no, the characters were fun in this movie, man, and that underground sleaze world was fun to me. It was like really fun. Just seeing these characters, man, were nuts and hilarious. Some of them goofy, some of them whatever. I enjoyed that world, man. I was all about it, and I liked the reveal at the end. Not that it was a total shocker, but I was okay with it and what ended up happening.
Yeah.
I do 100% agree with you where they did kind of show the hand a little too quick with one of them. Absolutely agree
Well,
with.
they didn't necessarily show that a certain person was the killer, but they tipped their hand on he has like they have this facade the whole movie that is something, and I thought that they tipped that part of it a little too early. Like it was like a good 50 or 55 minutes in where they revealed that part, and I was like, okay, I think you could have waited on that part of it.
100%. Yeah, totally agree. Music wise on this movie, we have Safran. Safran. Don't know anything about Safran on the music. And honestly, the music was another one of those movies where
I thought it was okay. It had some percussion in it. It kind of reminded me of like Miami Vice in a way, like the 80s Miami Vice TV show, like with the way it sounded.
I could see that. But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
literally going back in this movie and I can see scene after scene after scene in my head, and I hear no music to it. I just see the scenes. Which typically I'll hear the music in my brain thinking, okay, you go back to our Argento movie or a Fulci movie or whatever, Sergio Martino, you can hear some of the plays of the music. I do not remember any music in this movie at all, which is not a bad thing. You didn't need
And
it.
there are a couple of brutal kills in this movie, or at least a brutal aftermath of one of them involving some genital mutilation.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
Oh my God,
surprised me what they showed of that.
that
The
scene you were
scene,
talking about at the beginning, dude. That was
yeah,
horrific. And
yeah.
I knew right away, like the girl's in her panties, getting her panties took off, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, something's off here a little bit. There's a little bit of uh, extra fuzz down there, and now we know why. But anyways, that was a rough scene, dude. That was pretty hardcore. But yeah, lots of nudity and cuffs and debauchery in this movie for sure. But what do you got on the All Stars on this one? Besides, I know Ida Gala.
I think she's the only one that I had for this one. Honestly, I do have stuff for dubbing corner.
Okay, let's hear that.
Carolyn DeFonzica was dubbing Teeny Casino as Deborah or Arabella. Um, Francesco Casali as Francesco is dubbed by Ted Rusoff. Let's see here. Frank Von Kugelin is dubbing the one cowboy guy that Arabella picks up.
Yeah.
Um, Robert Sommer is dubbing the detective with the beard, who I quoted at the beginning of the show. I don't exactly know if I had a name for him. I think he goes by like Barton or something in the English dub. I think I had one more. Pat Stark is dubbing Rena Niehaus as Agnesi, who's the girlfriend of Inspector Fowler.
Okay. I actually watched this in Italian language because I did not go and check that there was an English dub on this one. So I'd be curious to see how that turned out. Like I was fine watching this with Italian and reading subtitles. That didn't bother me at all in this movie, but IMDb has this as Italian erotic thriller, giallo, drama, mystery, romance, thriller, and it is all of those. It is absolutely every single one of those. It definitely has some giallo aspects to it, and you do have all the others. Can't argue with it, Ian. I got to give it to them. 5.3 on IMDb rating board, man. That's interesting. Most of the time you would think this would be a little bit lower, but interesting. They gave it a 5.3. What else you got on this one?
Not too much that I can think of. I think I said most of the things I wanted to say on this one.
Lots of fun. This is lots of
Yeah.
fun. Um, and this is, like I said, a second viewing for me. So I had seen this one before. It didn't strike me when we had the box set and we were talking about doing it. I never remembered the name. But as soon as I pulled that DVD or Blu-ray out and I put it in the player and hit the play, I was like, I've seen this movie. I was like, wow, okay, I've actually seen this movie. But lots of fun on this one, man. So, what do you got on the rating for this one?
I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay. And I am actually at a 3.5 on Letterbox, so I'm actually going to say it's a 7.5. Enjoy this movie, and I would definitely watch this one again. I mean, I've seen it twice now. I would watch this.
Yeah, I would too.
I would watch this numerous times, man. This is definitely a
I think I would watch this one again before I'd watch The Killer Is Still Among Us again.
100%, 100%. Although I do now, I've seen The Killer Among Us now twice because I watched it with the commentary as well. I don't feel like I would watch it this year again. Probably not even next year. But if somebody said, "Hey, you want to watch Killer Still Among Us?" Sure, why not? It's not one
Yeah.
that I would shy away from, but it's not one that I'm gonna be readily going to. And when you start talking about these box sets, we've already done the first three. They've all been kind of good. Some hit and miss for sure, but some of them been good. Some of them been better than others. This was just kind of an okay one so far. I'm curious because we're going to be doing something on the next one. But before we get to that one, Ian, we do have some voicemails. So
Oh, okay, cool.
yes, well, yeah, your dad actually called in. So we're going to go to this voicemail here. Here we go. And we're going to listen to these. We got two voicemails from Ian's dad, so we'll listen to that, and then we'll.
Might want to be ready for some possible spoilers as well.
Yeah,
Just
so
to heads up on that.
you might get spoiled. So if if you don't want to hear spoilers, don't listen to the voicemails. But here we go.
Hey guys, Luke Urza calling with a few comments about The Killer Is Still Among Us. Well, right out of the gate, excuse me, I felt that whoever wrote the story or directed the movie, both, really wanted you to believe that it was the coroner, Christiana's boyfriend, who might be the killer. They really lead you down the road with a number of, innuendos or whatever, gloves in a wastebasket and things. And he always seems to be disappearing and reemerging, and something bad has happened. So they're really leading you down that road. And initially I thought, very clever, just throw it right out there, and maybe it's in, maybe it isn't, so you didn't want to be a fool at the end, by dismissing him, and he was the bad guy. But you didn't want to fall into the trap of it being so obvious, like, hey, wait a minute, and not look for other people that could be doing it. And in those types of movies, I find that sometimes the supporting characters are the ones that are doing it, and then it's revealed at the end. And in this movie, I didn't feel like that happened. I mean, at one point, I thought it was like the professor, Christiana's professor, that might be doing it, because he obviously would know a lot about those types of criminals and would maybe be able to, get around the police or do something, evade the police. So I like the ending, and I'm going to call back because I have a couple other observations and things, and we'll go from there.
Friday. So that is call number 1 from Luke. And let's go to a second call here, Ian. And yep, there we go. Da, 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 da. All right, here we go.
Hey guys, Luke Irza, again, a couple more observations. The killer's still among us. So I really like the scene where the bartender gets hung. I like the view from, below, looking up at him when he's bleeding, but I don't know about you guys. And I really enjoyed, like, she's standing there and you see some blood dripping down onto her back, on, shoulder and stuff. And you're like, oh, I could have predicted that. Maybe that dude's not going to make it, because if he's got dirt on people who it could be, it could go both ways. She could find out and solve the mystery, or it's going to add some more mystery because this dude's going to get knocked off. So I enjoyed that blood was dripping on her shoulder. But I don't know about you guys. I mean, when blood starts dripping in my mouth, I think I'd kind of move away. I enjoyed the scene, like she's just standing there and it's dripping all over. I mean, good effects for a movie, but like, I feel like real life, and especially it gets in your mouth. I mean, come on. But anyway, I found that I laughed. I thought that was awesome. And then lastly, I'll say I like the seance scene, and the actor in that, the guy that gets possessed or supposedly possessed, if you believe in that type of thing or whatever, or clairvoyance, maybe not possessed, but, I really liked his acting in that. I thought he did, pretty good job, pretty convincing job. So that's what I got, but, I enjoyed the movie. As you can tell, I really like the hanging scene, but, have a good podcast, guys.
That is awesome. Appreciate Ian's dad calling in there. And I agree, man. We talked about that blood scene. We didn't even talk about the seance. That was a cool.
I like the cross-cutting in the seance scene. The cross-cutting specifically between that and the kill in the tent, I thought was actually really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Luke, appreciate you calling in, man. Love your take on that for sure. Did he watch Arabella?
No, I couldn't find it anywhere else for him, unfortunately. So that was one I couldn't get to him. The Killer is Still Among Us I found on Tubi. He had actually called me with another observation. He had said that he liked at the end of the film, spoilers here again, that Christiana did not recognize, the possible killer when he sat down next to her. Because he was like, I think that worked better for the movie to have that at the end instead of her maybe thinking that she recognized the person. Because then you might be able to predict who it is, or you might have an idea for it. So he did say that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that is the episode. Once again, Arabella and the Killer is Still Among Us. This is part of that volume 4 of the Forgotten Gialli set. And we will get back to this set. There's one more movie in that set that we'll get to in the future. But Pearl had reminded me that, hey, we got Halloween coming up. And Ian, we decided we'll do something a little Halloween-like for the next episode, but there's not any Italian necessarily. Pearl sent me a thing about Dario Argento, but like directly to Halloween related because there's just not something they really celebrated. But we decided that the next episode, Ian, we're going to be reviewing which one?
Demons 1 and 2.
Demons 1 and 2, and I have the Synapse Blu-ray double pack set, which is awesome. I picked it up last year. Love, love, love to get into that, so I'm gonna crack this one open. So Demons Part 1 and 2, which I think will fit for the whole Halloween because of the masks and the costuming and those type things, and I can't wait. I've not seen Demons 2 in a pretty darn good while, and spoiler, I really love Demons 1, but we'll see how it holds up. It's been a little while. So that's going to be the next episode. Demons Part 1 and Demons Part 2, Ian. That's, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So we're going to get into these. We'll tear right into them and see what happens and all that good stuff. And then we'll get back to Forgotten Gialli. We got a cool lineup, Ian. You were talking off air, man, the next 3 or 4 episodes, man. I'm super excited about what we got coming up.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah. So that will be coming up in the near future to stick with us. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Ian, what you got in closing?
So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Urzanomics. That's my handle on all of those. You can type my name in on Letterboxd and on Facebook if you want to add me on either one of those or follow me on Letterboxd. I'm also going to be appearing on the WTM Watch This Movie show fairly soon. I'm not sure when it'll be released, but I know it's going to be pretty soon for their Stranger Danger series covering When a Stranger Calls,
Nice.
the original When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Let us know. I will definitely be checking that out. And what's
Yeah.
the show one more time?
WTM Watch This Movie.
Okay. All right. WTM.
Yeah.
Check them out and I guess subscribe to them. Are they video too, or is it just going to be audio?
Just audio.
Okay. All right. So check that out and we'll try to remind when it does come out and we'll maybe put a link or something up there. That'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah, I've done 2 other shows with them. I did New York Ripper a couple of years ago with them, and I did Halloween last year.
I have heard,
Rob Zombie's Halloween remake.
I am so sorry.
Yep.
I know exactly who you're talking about now. Duh. I know exactly who you're talking about. I think we follow each other on Twitter. So yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, WTM. My brain, dude. I'm telling you, I'm old. I can't think sometimes, but I try. Pearl knows my memory's shot. Yeah, her too. I'm telling you, man. When you get old, you start forgetting stuff. So WTM podcast over there, check them out. And check out Ian's blog site and all that stuff. And if you don't follow him on Letterboxd, head over there too and check those out. But I have it all in the show notes. So go to landthecreeps.blogspot.com, click on the show notes, and you can get all the links. For us, I'm going to just say a few little things here. Follow us at Facebook, all that. If you have not subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button up there and give us a thumbs up. This is via YouTube, okay? So if you're listening to this on the podcast audio, you don't know what I'm talking about. But on the YouTube, I'm pointing up for the YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We'd love that. I'm not going to give my outros right here because we're going to do Mortis Vision with the Mortises. So Pearl and I will be directly after this, and we're going to be interviewing Justin Beam. And we're going to be talking with Justin. We love Justin to death. And we're going to talk about his Phantom Lightkeeper, his album that's releasing. When this episode drops this Friday, his album will be officially out there to purchase direct. So we're going to talk about that, maybe play a few song clips and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. So that said, this is Ian and I getting ready to sign out. Ian, how do we always like to close it?
Get your jolly on.
That's right. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace. Wow.